Rugby with Huw Griffin.
Welcome back to Huw Griffin. We had a bit of a tongue twister there because I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name every time with my very pronounced Afrikaans accent. But anyway, welcome back, Huw. And without any further ado, tell me what that yellow shirt is that you're wearing.
Thank you. And, just a word, just a word to the audience is podcasters, we're going to say words wrong. Just come to terms with it. I've done podcasts about Samoan and Tongan players, and I just put a disclaimer at the beginning. I'm going to say these words wrong. It's just going to happen. Anyway, this is a knockoff, non-official Romania polo shirt. I'll be very honest, it's not my favorite shirt that I wear, that I own, I should say. So going into the World Cup, I wanted an unusual top. It's not a jersey, an unusual rugby top to wear. And in my work, I work with lots of Romanians. So I thought, oh, I'll get a Romania jersey. And it was yellow. It was different. I haven't got a yellow jersey. I do now. There's another story. Um, so I got it. It's not very nice. And none of the Romanians at my work give a hoot about rugby. So it was a bit of a waste of time, but I've got it. And this might be the last time I wear it, or it might just become my shirt that I paint in or something.
So what's that 23 on the chest there?
So it's from a range that a outlet called Rugby Store UK did. And they did an item, you could get a range of clothes for every single team that was at the Men's World Cup in 2023. So it says France 23 on it because it was France in 2023. So this isn't the official Romania logo, I don't believe. Like I said, it's not official merch.
Well, you're probably counting down the days to your official Blue Bulls shirt arriving.
Oh, absolutely.
It's getting closer now. Any day, we'll see. Anyway, talking about the Bulls, 3 Bulls in the elite squad for the URC and 7 South Africans. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, the URC Team of the Year, which I assume with your amazing editing you'll be putting on the screen any second now. So they've gone for an all South African front row and 4 South Africans out of 5 in the type 5. So you've got the both Bulls props, Marnus van der Merwe from the Scarlets at number 2, RG Snyman or RG Snyman in the number 4 jersey, Tyg Byrne and number 5 from Munster. Then the back row, you've got Jack Morgan at number 6, which is a bit of a cheat because he's been playing number 7. But I'll let it off because he can play 6.
Is that like your 6 or our 6? I mean, yours.
Great question. And the answer is it doesn't matter because they've gone for double open side.
Oh, okay.
So they've gone Jack Morgan and they've gone Rory Darge. Darge, dip, dive, duck, and Darge at number 7. And then they've gone Cameron Hanekom, which I just about agree with, at number 8. And then into the backs, we've got Craig Casey from Munster at number 9. We've got Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu at 10. We've got Andre Esterhazen at number 12. Tom Farrell from Munster at number 13. And then in the backs, we've got on the number 11 wing, Blair Murray from the Scarlets. We've got number 14, Darcy Graham from Edinburgh. And then number 15, Jamie Osborne from Leinster. So it's got, as you said, Enver, 7 South Africans, one of whom is from Leinster. Only one Leinster player in there apart from RG Snyman. And then other Irish, you've got Tom Farrell and Craig Casey from Munster. And that's it. You've got...
And Tyg Byrne.
And Tyg Byrne, yes, sorry, apologies. It's funny, actually. I'll tell you this. I've got contact with the CEO of the Scarlets, and he replied to me saying, we've actually got 4 in there, because he's counting Marnus van der Merwe and Blair Murray, who are currently play for the Scarlets. He's also counting Jack Morgan, who we gave his professional debut before he moved to the Ospreys. And he's also counting Tyg Byrne, who rose to fame. He was released by Leinster Academy, came to the Scarlets, was playing for Llandovery in the Welsh Premiership, got his break with the Scarlets, won the Pro 12 with the Scarlets, and then went to Munster.
So, I didn't know that.
According to the Scarlet CEO, we've got 4, which I'm not arguing. I don't know, mate. What's your kind of take on this 15 before I argue?
Well, like the first thing that caught my eye is the fact there was only one proper Leinster player in there for the supposed powerhouse, of the Northern Hemisphere. That's quite surprising. 3 Munster players, and we saw them getting their That's the word. Panties in a twist this past Saturday. That was quite an interesting game. Yeah, I'm not sure about Tom Farrell. I don't really know him that well. Craig Casey, I know well. That's quite a good one. But obviously, I'm going to claim Marnus van der Merwe. I mean, he's in the Bok alignment camp and everything is a cheetah after all. He might be playing for the Scarlets at the moment, but at the end of the day, he's still a cheetah. Still a South African, and to be considered the best hooker in the competition, that's saying a lot, don't you think?
Yes, but he was voted player of the season for the Scarlets as well, and he's been absolutely fantastic. So I think it's a completely fair call. I mean, is he the best hooker in the competition? No, because that's Dan Sheehan. You know, controversially, I'm sorry, Bongi Umbanami, but I think it's Dan Sheehan. So, well, I think that's maybe another talking point. Only one Shark, Andre Esterhazen. One Glasgow player, two Scarlets, three Munster. There you go, and then three Bulls as well, obviously. I mean, if we go down in position by position, I'm not going to argue against any of the Scarlets picks, so sorry. But I'm okay with the Bulls picks. I definitely think that I was going to say in my opinion, I don't want to say that. I said factually, the Bulls have the best scrum in the world. So having two Bulls props is only logical. RKS Neyman, clearly world class, fine. Tyke Bird, clearly world class, fine. I mean, obviously, you're the South African and you specialize in locks. Any other locks that you think should have been in there?
No, I'm quite happy with that. I can't, off the top of my head, think of anyone right now that's actually playing in South Africa. Ronald Keir has been playing 7 mostly, and he was injured a lot of the time. He's probably a candidate for 5. Maybe, well, there's no one at the Sharks, no one really at the Lions. Maybe Ruben van Heerden from the Stormers, but he's not in the Springbok alignment camp or anything. No, I'm happy with that. Ergens Neyman, I think maybe even Etzebeth, but he didn't play that much, injured a lot. So I suppose that's why he wasn't there. And we just did a video the other day about the number 4 locks in the running for the Springboks. And we analysed RG's Neyman and Erben in technical detail. And as those offloads of him and the way that he throws the ball, I probably think that he's the best number 4, including Eben Betts, in my opinion, in World Rugby. I know Harry and Andre won't agree with me, but yeah, that's my thinking. I like that. I like that selection.
I think that he is the best offloader in the world.
Yeah.
I will say that.
You must watch that video. I'll put it up here. It's where we discuss the 4s. The way that he offloads, he doesn't just willy-willy throw the ball around. It's either up or down. There's a lot of technique behind it, which I never realized. Andre pointed it out to us. You must go watch it. There's a science to it that I never knew.
He goes into contact expecting the offload, doesn't he? He's not going into contact and going, oh, right, maybe I'll offload. He's going like, I'm going to offload, and he knows that before he takes the contact.
And but also the way that he offloads, which is far more technical than I expected. And also his teammates now need to adjust to him being that offloady, if you know what I'm saying. He also, Andre showed us that when he was playing for the Springboks didn't do what his Leinster teammates did by being there when he offloads. Like Andre Pollard was standing back and the offload went nowhere, kind of a thing. So they have to adjust to him being that prone to offloading. And like I said, also the way that he offloads, he would either throw the ball down or the ball up, depending on how far behind his supporting runners were. Clever player. No, I agree with that.
I'm definitely going to watch that. I love Andre Pretorius' explaining of skills and things like that. It's
next level, I tell you. Content. Well, it's like somebody said last week's video about Siya Kolisi, the number 6s. We can use it as documentary when he retires because it's quite a lot of detail. You must watch that one as well. I'm very happy with Cameron Hanekom. I honestly think that he might be the Springbok, at least number 2 in terms of 8th men this year after Jasper Wiese. Now it seems Jasper is back. But I think
big audition for him this week against the Sharks, isn't it?
I think so. But I think he's got it. Only problem with Cameron is, and we've highlighted it in our videos, he's a little bit injury prone. So he's. We only gave him 7 out of 10 for that. Because every time, even this weekend again, if you look up, he's sitting down and he's having some attention being given to him. And that's the only concern. He's not as physical as a Duane Vermeulen was than in Jasper Wiese. But in terms of talent, in terms of, getting to the ball, being in everybody's faces, speed, everything else, I think he's untouched, unrivaled. What do you think?
No, I think so. When I was watching him in the quarter-final against Edinburgh, it was the way he'd get tackled. Like the opposition player would hit him, he'd stop for a second and then go, okay, I'm going to carry on running now, and just carry on going. Like he'd get tackled, but he wouldn't go to the ground. It's like he was made of concrete. It's like he had girders. It's like his studs were 6 feet deep into the turf. He just doesn't go down. And who can forget the performance that he put in against Leinster in the semi-final last year.
Mm.
And like you said, the only thing that's held him back is injuries. I think he's fantastic.
And remember that game against Northampton Saints as well? I think he scored twice. I mean, from long distance as well. That guy, if he gets the ball, everybody else is in trouble. So, I like that. Sasha, after this
Well,
weekend's game,
hang on. You skipped the number 9. I think that Gareth Davis from the Scarlets has been robbed blind.
I'm not surprised you
Because
think that.
Gareth Davis has played almost every minute of almost every game for the Scarlets. He's got them. I know that this is just a symptom of the of having played every minute, but he's got the most kicks. He's got the most kick meters. He's the most try-scoringest scrum half in URC/Celtic League that all preceded the URC history ever, all time, and he broke that record this season. And like I said, I think no one having more minutes at scrum half than him, no one has touched a ball in the URC more often than Gareth Davis this season. So, Craig Casey, hang on, let's just have a look up his minutes. Craig Casey, rugby. He has gotten so far this season in the URC 699 minutes. So that's 10 matches. Well, Gareth Davis has got more. So there you go. I rest my case.
So you're basing it the fact that he played more that makes him better, or do you think he's actually
Well,
better?
what's Craig Casey done exactly? Craig Casey has scored 1 URC try this season.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. What's the argument? What is your argument specifically for Gareth Davis, apart from the fact that he played more?
He plays for the Scarlets, MV.
Yeah, I get it. All right, fine. Case made. You've made your case. I agree. Talk to me about Sasha Feinberg and Komazulu. I must be honest. I'll say it out loud just now. He was disappointing against Glasgow, and they looked better when Marnie came on. What do you think?
I didn't get to see tons of that game, but I understand that it happened quite early on. But as I said, I called it. I said no Willemse is the deal breaker, and it proved to be, because Willemse was stepping up to run the show when Sasha would go and do something exciting. No Willemse, no party. So that's what happened. The thing about Sasha is he has only played, let's count them, in the number 10 jersey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in the URC this season. In an 18-game season, is that enough to qualify? Some would say that should exclude you from being team of the season material because you haven't played enough. Now, when he did play, was he the best 10? Yes, probably.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
You're going to tell me that Bota Chamberlain was?
I think misjudged guy. I mean, what's to it? No, I wouldn't say Bota Chamberlain for that matter. Let me think about that. Who was the best 10?
Dan Edwards from the Ospreys had an incredible season, and that hurts me to say. Like, I do think that Sam Costello is better than Dan Edwards. Of course, I would think that, but Dan Edwards had a very good season. I think he finished 2nd overall. Johan Lloyd from the Scarlets finished it with the Golden Boot. However, I can't sit here and tell you that he should be the 10 of the season because, in my opinion, he's a fullback. He's been played out of position. That's just my opinion. If you go down the list, you could go Tom Jordan as a 10.
I like Tom Jordan. He impressed me on some Friday nights as well against the Stormers. They knew exactly how they were, going to beat Stormers. He was brilliant. I like Jack Rowley as well, even though he had a bit of a tantrum, on the field there. I get it. I'm not taking sides here. It's not at all. I'm a Bull supporter, not a Shark supporter for that matter. Just to put it out there. But I like him. I think he's a good player. How was his season, Jack Rowley?
Jack Crowley, no, I think very good. I'm pretty much on board with the people who say that Jack Crowley should be Ireland's number 10. But I get why they don't. I get both sides of the argument. But if I was picking an Ireland team for a World Cup quarterfinal tomorrow, I would pick Jack Crowley.
What are the arguments? Why did they go for Sam Prendergast? I mean, that guy can't tackle to save anybody's life.
No, but he's got a better range of passing. He's got a better vision. Jack Crowley, I think, suits Ireland where Ireland are today, but I think Sam Prendergast suits them where they'd want to go. So, and I think he's got the attack, but he's not the finished article. But I don't think people should expect him to be because he's what, 20, 21? So, I think everybody just needs to chill out about it.
Is it not too soon for him though? Just pushing him too hard too soon?
Yeah, potentially. I think there's a good case that it is.
Let's look at number 12, Andre Esterhuizen, the human wrecking ball, also running into, isolating himself from he never gets, or not often gets left behind, or he leaves his supporting players behind. I'm not convinced about that one either. He's a very good player, make no mistake. He's second choice at number 12 for the Springboks after Damien D'Alenda, but still not sure. What do you think of that one?
I don't think he's. I think we've got enough data now to say that if Andre Esterhuizen was to be the Bok 12, we'd seen it already. I think Damien D'Alenda is a clear level or two above him, and I'm interested to see, just as a side point, where the Springboks go with the 12 jersey. Are they going to go with Willemse in that jersey long term, or what have you? That's an interesting side point that I'm looking forward to see how that develops over the next few years. But in terms of URC team of the season. Again, you could play Tom Jordan there. That's not really been his position. Sione Tuipulotu as well, if he hadn't gotten injured, I think would have been a contender for that. If you remember the first half of the season, these team of the season things are always very recency biased by their nature. But Sione Tuipulotu could be one. I don't think any of the Irish 12s have played enough URC game time to be considered. So I'm okay with Andre Esterhuizen. I can be talked into it. And he has been phenomenal since he's come back. He's done a job and a half for the Sharks.
Tom Farrell, I would sorry, with my Bulls bias very clearly defined here. I would have thought David Creel might have a look in there.
Yeah, David Creel finished as the top man for try involvements last season as well. He's very underrated. But Tom Farrell, I can't argue against Tom Farrell because he's top for successful carries. I think try involvements, he's pretty up there as well. Defenders beaten, he's top in the league. He's top for offloads. He's top for total carries. Yeah, I can't argue. Tom Farrell, number 13. Case closed.
Right, and your number 11 from the Scarlets.
He's actually been better since he's moved to 15. And I think what I'll say is Blair Murray is the best URC signing from New Zealand, and I include Geordie Barrett in that for the URC.
Is he from New Zealand? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was playing for Canterbury in the NPC this time last year.
Okay, there you go.
But he's got a Welsh mum, and so now he plays for the Scarlets.
So does he qualify for Wales?
Yeah, he played in the Six Nations.
Okay, sorry. I'm not that clued up on the Welsh players, I must be honest.
So I think he's been better since he moved to fullback. He's not great in the air. He can work on that. He's a diminutive guy. And also, when he's been playing on the wing, he's been playing 14, and they've picked him on at 11 on this. So, you can
make place
with that.
Yeah, find a place to put him in because he's good enough.
And also, has Darcy Graham been playing at 11 or 14?
14.
You sure?
I'm thinking back at what happened at Loftus this weekend when Sebastian de Klerk got the yellow card.
Yeah, okay, no, yeah, he's been playing 14. All right, fine. If you want to move Blair Murray over for Darcy Graham, no argument here, and Darcy Graham should be in it for me.
The only argument I've got, one thing. Only thing I don't like about these two wings, neither of them are lacquer backs. They're not wearing scrum caps.
Darcy Graham's a lacquer back.
Yeah, you're right, no. But clearly that doesn't work because, you just bump into him, your opponent gets a yellow card.
Listen, Blair Murray would be a lacquer back if he wore a scrum cap. Everything else about him is lacquer back.
Yeah, I thought we were going to make Sebastian de Klerk an honorary lacquer back. We're going to present a scrum cap to him. Do
you have to wear a scrum cap to be like a back?
It's part of the definition. Harry came up with it. We have to honor it.
Can you have all the skills of a lacquer back, but because you don't wear a scrum cap, it's just
you can put a motorcycle helmet on, I suppose, but I mean, scrum cap is sort of compulsory. It's just the way it is. Anyway.
Okay, right. But the one that I really don't agree with is Jamie Osborne at number 15. Jamie Osborne's a great player, and I think he's got a great Ireland future ahead of him. He's played 6 games at fullback in the URC this season.
So who's your choice? Willie Leroux.
Willie Leroux, couldn't argue with. I think it doesn't matter what I think of Willie Leroux. He doesn't need me to think anything. He's clearly an all-time great player.
But in terms of what the stats, because also he played a lot at 10, don't forget.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's not a 10 though, is he?
No, he isn't, but I mean, he didn't play that many games at 15, and he was injured. He had to go and
he played
compulsory
13
rest or
games
something.
at 15. He still managed to play 13 games.
13
maybe
games.
not all at 15, but he's played 13 games in the URC this season.
Some of them were at 10, definitely.
Yeah.
After Goosen got injured at one time.
The other potential is Cam Winnett from Cardiff. He's played, I think, every minute of every game or near enough. He's got, I won't read that one out because that one's bad, but he's got the most meters gained, 4th overall. He's got 5th overall for carries. Now, this is helped by the fact he's played so many minutes. But he's got, well, again, I won't read that out, that's bad. But he's got, take my word for it, he's got good stats. Like, and if I go on,
If you can just find them, anytime.
players try involvements, he has got he's got joint top try involvements in the URC this season.
Okay, you found it.
Oh, Warwick
Thank you.
Gallant is actually second.
I was about to ask you about Warwick Gallant, goofball, goofball extraordinaire.
Not for me, Clive. Not for me. George Horn, also the scrum half from Glasgow. Great player. I absolutely love him. I wouldn't mind it if he was in team of the season. There you go. Gareth Davis, 11 try involvements. There you go. Same as Roger Williams, weirdly enough, from the Dragons. Tom Farrell, top. So again, can't argue with Tom Farrell. But for me, Jamie Osborne, no way. I think they've made the team and realised there's not very many Leinster players in it and gone, oh God, they finished top. We better put more Leinster players in it.
But proper Leinster players, yeah.
But I think that the problem with Leinster is that they've got the A and the B team setup going on. And if you look at Leinster stats, like I used to do individual player drops, stats drops. And whenever I had to do one on Leinster, it was always a pain because none of them would stand out. They'd all have great tackles. They'd all have great carries. And you'd always end up picking Caelan Doris or what's his name? James Lowe. So it's difficult to pick out standout individuals from Leinster because they're not about individuals. Geordie Barrett hasn't played enough URC game time. Weirdly, what's the point of signing him? So, yeah, basically, I don't agree with Jamie Osborne. I'd have gone with Cam Winnett or Villy LaRue. Question for you though: one player we've not spoken about, who's top of a lot of stats for both, and you can have him both 10 and fullback, is Jordan Hendrickson.
Yeah, he might have started off well, but lately I don't think he's been that good towards the end of the season, from what I remember. No, I don't rate him. Sorry.
Okay, so are you going to say we'll put a 4th bull in there for Villy LaRue at fullback?
Yeah, I probably would have.
And then,
I like Villy. I mean, he just showed what class he's got this weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, and then Jack Morgan and Rory Darge, a double open side, which I'm not that of a fan of as a concept, but 2 extremely good players, Jack Morgan and Rory Darge at 6 and 7. So
yeah, I have to find a place for them. I agree. Yeah, I like it. And I mean, they can switch easily enough. It's not that difficult, is it?
Yeah.
Be open to blindside, yeah.
And did we say that we'd keep Sasha, or are we going to change to someone else?
No, we talked about Jack Rowley and then Sam Prendergast maybe a bit, but I suppose when Sasha does fire, he's really brilliant. It's just when he has an off day, I think it's a bit of a lack of experience more than anything else. So the better he gets. But I mean, if you look at the season as a whole, you said he played 6 or 7 games at 10. I don't know. I'm not that convinced. But I can't
at least if
argue
we pick Jack Crowley, you could put Jack Crowley in the thumbnail.
Yeah. When we're swearing, it'll throw attract some attention.
I found a really good photo of Jack Crowley. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Okay, cool. That'll be like all right, fine. Now I'm quite happy with that team. Talking about Leinster, that's what we're talking about next now. I saw some AI generated artwork doing the rounds. It's got a bunch of trophies in front of him, and all say Joker of the Year, starting from a couple of years ago, including this year. And Harry specifically said, don't be too premature. Wait until the end of the season. Don't count them out yet. There's still Leinster after all. So this weekend, Leinster against Glasgow in Dublin. What are you expecting from that game?
It's fascinating. If you look at the statistics, if we start with those, it's absolutely remarkable how close the statistics are between these 2 teams. If you go on any given stats provider and filter largest to smallest to largest on anything, they're right next to each other. They're like 2 and 3 or 7 and 8 or whatever it is. Like so many of their stats are so common or similar. They're within 2% of each other in terms of look, like blindside attack. They both go 11%. For tight passes, tight movements, they go 11% both each, which is the bottom most of anybody. Wider than first receiver, they go 31% each. Wider than second receiver, it's 13% and 12%. Average passes per game, 176, 174. No, there's no difference. Most movement stats are within 2%, like I said. If I just run down some like more of the kind of generic stats, if you like. Tries for overall this season, Leinster 79, Glasgow 70, so Leinster half a try more, which is significant. Tries against 35 to 40, the two best defenses in the league, which is interesting because their defensive styles, I should say, sorry, are not similar. They're very different defensive structures. But defensive stats are flawed anyway, and Jack Newnover will tell you this himself. But however way that you measure Glasgow's defense, it's one of the best in the league. They're top 5 in every metric. It's absolutely remarkable. Tackle evasion, Glasgow are more evasive, 22 to 19%, but 3%. We're not talking chalk and cheese here. Line breaks leading to a try, Leinster 43, Glasgow 40, 3%. Tackle success, 85 to 90, although Leinster's tackle success is dropping off a bit. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. Missed tackles leading to tries, Leinster 6, Glasgow 9, 3% in again. Missed players being tackled, 75, 74. Dominant hits per game, 10, 10. Line out success, 84, 86. Scrum success, 90, 95. There's very little to split them. Very, very little to split them. But the thing is that the differences that I've been able to find, there's the small one in that Glasgow pass a bit wider. They spread the ball a bit further to the touchlines. And crucially, kick return. Leinster, if you kick the ball to them in their own half, they will kick it back. Glasgow will run it back. So in terms of exits from their own 22, Leinster are one of the lowest running it back, and Glasgow are one of the highest. And if you look at tries from kick return, Leinster 6%. They basically don't score off kick returns. Glasgow 17%, nearly 3 times as likely. So that's where the main difference is. So how do the two teams face up? Well, we know that these two teams have played each other twice on the same ground already this season. The first time it was a complete walkover for Leinster. I don't think Glasgow's heads were really in that game. I think they kind of chucked it before the game was played. But again, it happened, so it's data that we have to consider. But then in the most recent time they played each other, 13 points to 5, another home win for Leinster, but a lot more cagey. Now, there wasn't perhaps as much on that game as we maybe thought there was, so maybe the two teams were holding back. But again, Glasgow were able to be a lot more competitive with Leinster. And so what does that mean for this game? Does that mean that the trajectory of Glasgow's learning is fast and Leinster are dropping off? I have to say that watching my Scarlets against Leinster last week, I wasn't that impressed. I mean, maybe I'll get your thoughts on this, but when you consider one of those teams had 10 British and Irish Lions in it, plus Georgie Barrett, plus Archie Sneyman, and the other was the Scarlets with 0 British and Irish Lions in it, it didn't look like there was that much of a gulf that there should be when you just say those facts out loud. You'd say that with 10 of theoretically the best 40 players in Britain and Ireland versus 0, one should easily win. But they didn't. And I just get the sense of watching Leinster that they just are so unadaptable, and that the team that Glasgow are going to be facing is the exact same team that is going to play the exact same way that they played in the Champions Cup quarter-final all those weeks ago. Whereas Glasgow will have evolved, will have learned, will have adapted and overcome, hopefully. So, Leinster are favourites, yes, but they're just not convincing, are they? They're just not convincing at the moment.
Mm-mm. I must be honest, I spent most of that match, Scarlets versus Leinster, at Loftus still after the game. And I watched a bit of it. But I did find myself supporting Scarlets, probably because of you. And I also like supporting the underdogs, which is a good thing. And I think they gave a much better account of themselves than I expected them to, but like you predicted. And with this 2017 thing that you talked about, I love putting things into context a little bit, And yeah, I agree with you. Leinster definitely a team on the decline. I would think something is not firing on all cylinders there. And I think, like you said, the opposite is now applying to Glasgow, getting injured players back. comprehensively putting the Stormers away, outplaying the Stormers on the night. I mean, the Stormers were on a run. They had a good run in. Benetton were just pulverized. And then they came up to Glasgow and they're just never there. I mean, they arrived the previous Saturday already, a week before the game, to acclimatise and everything else. And John Dobson was talking about the special
To
team.
acclimatise to Glasgow, it's just a bit cold, guys.
Yeah, I know. So the point is they took it seriously and they still failed to deliver. But then again, the Stormers made some stupid selection choices, putting a winger on 13. He's never played 13 before. And then a makeshift 12, and then he gets injured anyway, and Sasha has to move to 12 again, a bit of up. No, it was a poor game. Getting back to Glasgow, Franco Smith, I was a bit worried about him after that 52-0 drubbing. Like he sort of was a deer in the headlights, but he pulled it together. And I think he's calmed the troops down now. And typical Franco in his quiet, unassuming way, I think he's probably, motivated the guys into, peaking at the right time. I'm interested to see what happens there. 2 losses at the same ground, like I said before. My sneaking suspicion is Glasgow's going to turn it around. They're going to beat Leinster at home. Same thing that happened last week at Loftus. Last year, Bulls beating Leinster in the semi. Glasgow's going to do it this year. And I'm still predicting a Bulls-Glasgow rematch at Loftus.
I mean, it would be spicy. I'd love to see it. I think I'll be different and predict a Leinster win just in a kind of unglamorous game. But Tuipulotu being back is massive. Huw Jones's availability is a question mark. So we'll see what happens with him. It'll be a big help if he is back. And Tom Jordan's just in unbelievable form. Like I said, I like George Horn. Be good if they could get Xander Fagerson back, but I haven't heard any suggestion that he will be. So, yeah, but just Leinster just seemed to be. I sent you that quote from Jack Newnober, didn't I? I sent you and Harry that quote, and I'll just see if I can find it, and then I'll read it out for the people at home who haven't seen it. Find the right chat. He said that. So, Jack Newnober was asked if he was worried the players might be struggling to fully focus on the URC with the playoffs falling between their European disappointments and the Lions tour, which most of them are on. And the 52-year-old replied, "No, I'm literally a defense coach. I just make them tackle and keep the points as low as possible. I'm not a mental expert or a mental coach. That's not my expertise at all." Which is a very interesting reply. He was basically asked, are your players' heads right? Are they fully focused? Now, to me, a coach, when asked a question like that, should just be going, yes, of course, should be brushing it off and going, yes, of course, we're fully focused. Even if it's not true, they should be saying, yeah, we're fully focused. But he didn't say that. That, to me, that answer, and I haven't heard him say it out loud. I'm only reading the words on the page. When you hear him say it, maybe he was caught out by the question and he didn't have a reply prepared and he just kind of fumbled his way through the reply. But that kind of suggests to me that he's trying to avoid the question or trying to avoid the topic, or more poignantly, he's not taking responsibility for the mental state of his players. He's not seeing that as his job, and he's disassociating himself with that problem if it exists. So did Leinster look mentally switched on against the Scarlets? In my opinion, no. So is there a problem there? Have we been given a window into something there? Maybe all's not happy in the Leinster camp.
I think what it says to me is Jock Newnober was told to know his place. You're the defence coach, bud. It's not your place to speak about things that are beyond your remit. That's what I'm thinking. Especially after that Brian O'Driscoll, accusation that Leinster's losing because of the way that they're defending, or Ireland's losing because of the way Leinster's defending, blaming Jock Newnober basically. I don't think everything is all fine and dandy up in a Leinster country. And I've said it before to Harry as well in the Lekker Rugby report. Imagine Jock Newnober taking over at the Sharks with all those Springbok players, what he'll be able to do. And don't tell me he won't be able to work with their heads, looking after the mental side of things. Of course he can. He's a Springbok. He was a Springbok's head coach for that matter. I mean, even though Rassie was right there with him, he was still the head coach. He knows how to do this. And you said there, maybe he was caught unawares. He wouldn't be caught unawares. He's way too experienced for that.
Maybe do you remember that bit in Chasing the Sun where the don't let them write your story, boys? That speech. this guy knows how to motivate
Exactly.
players. And defense coaches is all about making your players want to tackle
Grit.
and making your players want to. Now, interestingly, as kind of an aside from this, he says his choice of words was, "I just make them tackle." Now, I think that's a throwaway line, so I'm reading way too much into this. But if I just for fun read too much into it, Leinster's tackle stats are like going like that. Now, for audio listeners, I went down. For the It's not everything. Tackle percentage isn't everything. In fact, it's pretty much nothing. However, against the Scarlets, Leinster made 50 tackles, missed 25. A 1/3 missed tackle rate. Now, they only conceded three tries, one of which was a ball went to ground and it was a length of the field run away. That's not a defensive system being unpicked. Okay, so you can read too much into it, like I said, is what I am doing. But it's starting to become a narrative. And like, if he's saying his job is to make them tackle, and we've talked about Sam Prendergast, it's just an unfortunate choice of words, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I hear you. But then again, you mentioned about the way tackle statistics are measured, for example. We talked about Jesse Creel the other day, and he misses a lot of tackles, but he puts the attacker under so much pressure that he fumbles it or the pass goes astray, whatever. He doesn't necessarily make the tackle, but he's still effective. So, it skews the statistics a bit. Don't you think that might be the case here?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I'm deliberately reading too much into it.
But I like it. I like this kind of a theory. I still think that Jacques was put down, told to know his place. I've got a feeling, and I've got a feeling something might be happening, in that camp pretty soon. So you reckon Leinster might take it?
They should. Look, if they don't, oh my God. Oh my God.
Not again. All right.
Yeah.
Just briefly talk to me about the other game, the one at Loftus that I'll be attending. Bulls versus Sharks. Looks like it's going to be a sold-out crowd, by the way. 50,000 people. So that's going to be a big one for a semi-final. Not bad, don't you think?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. Bulls fans turn up for a big game. It's great to see. And of course, obviously, there's going to be plenty of Sharks fans there as well.
That's the thing. So many Shark supporters there. Anyway, sorry. I got a bit off track there.
Look, at some point, the Sharks are going to get found out. You would think, surely, at some point, these guys, the chickens are going to come home to roost, and the proof will be in the pudding. The chickens will hatch, and we'll see that their terrible performances and terrible stats will all result in terrible results at some points. But it's just not happening yet. So that's what makes them scary, is as a team that loses to them, you never understand why you lost to them.
And we lost to them twice.
Yeah, exactly. But I would just not discount, because you can't discount all the data, but I would say the one that you lost to them at Kings Park, it was 20 points to 17. So it's close enough. The one at home, by the looks of it, you didn't have a very strong 23 on that day. And maybe it was an off day, because the Bulls were having a bit of a wobble around that time anyway. So I'm not saying write it off, but I'm saying don't make it the be all and end all. I think Hanekom being back is massive. Your top pilferer as well. So that helps. And then, like I said, it's just the Sharks don't have many strengths. So you need to front up physically. You need to smash them up front, which is hard to do. And then you need to play to their weaknesses, because they have weaknesses. They are a badly coached team. Put them in situations that they are not comfortable being in, such as having to carry out a structured attack from far out, which they cannot do. And then they make them kick, because they if it's apart from kicking contestable, which they're very good at, their kicking strategy isn't really there either. So, and if and when they get a yellow card, punish them. They had 3 yellow cards against you last time they played, and they still beat you. And they did that in the Curry Cup as well. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah,
3 yellow cards, down to 12 men, still won. Punish them when they get a yellow card.
But don't you think the Bulls of that game, I hear what you said about the 23, but the way they've developed over the season, beating Munster and Glasgow away and everything else, it's a different kettle of fish compared to that specific team. And like you said, the Sharks sort of just stumbled along, not losing miraculously, But the Bulls have grown stronger and better and more confident over the course of the season, don't you think?
I do think, and you would hope. Look, me as what my friends would call a math boy, I want the statistically better team to beat the statistically worse team. So it hurts my head and hurts my heart when the Sharks win because they are neither of those things. So for the sake of science, I want the Bulls to win, and because I'm getting a Bulls jersey in the post.
On that subject now, you mentioned that they're a badly coached team, and they're actually a very good team on paper. All those Springboks and everything else, simply not playing to their potential. But the moment they put on a green and gold jersey, they're different animals. So do you put it down to coaching at the Sharks?
100%. 100%. Well, you can't put it down to players because their players are amazing. Toulouse would swap players with the Sharks, not the full squad, obviously, but there are players in that Shark squad who would be upgrades for Toulouse, and certainly for Bordeaux. Bordeaux would take the Sharks' whole pack. They would take the whole pack from the Sharks. So the players ain't the problem. Players are not the problem.
And you're saying Plumtree's the problem, basically, not Powell. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I challenge anybody to watch them and tell me they're well coached.
No, I agree with you. We've had this conversation many, many times. We keep wondering when the axe going to drop, but it doesn't come because they're third on the log. Last year they were what, 15th or 16th. I can't even remember. Yeah, they won the Challenge Cup by accident, I suppose, as a consolation prize. This year they did so much better on paper, but still never ever convincingly. I mean, they lost against the Lions. What was it, 40-13 or something ridiculous, out of nowhere with a proper strength team. This is the other thing. They're just so inconsistent, unpredictable. Yeah. And that's what I'm worried about. That makes me a bit worried. I said to Harry this afternoon, I'd rather have played Munster any day of the week than play the Sharks. It's not a derby. We've beaten them before. We've had a long game in Durban. Fatigue might set in and blah, 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 blah. But now it has to be the Sharks again. I'm a little worried. Shame.
Yep.
Anyway, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Nice discussion as always. Talk to you next week.
See you next week.
Rugby with Huw Griffin.